Ladies and gentlemen, there is a difference between being busy and being effective. There is a difference between being present everywhere and being impactful somewhere. Too many people confuse availability with value. They believe that if they are always present, always accessible, always saying yes, then they will be seen as important. But let me tell you today, availability does not equal value. Value is not measured by how many people can reach you at any given moment. Value is measured by what you carry, what you contribute, and the difference you make when you show up. You see, when something is too available, it loses its worth. Diamonds are valuable because they are rare. Gold is valuable because it is not found on every street corner. And your gift, your talent, your purpose was never designed to be common. You were created to carry something that solves a problem, answers a question, fills a need, and shifts an environment. But when you make yourself available to everything and everyone, you dilute your own effectiveness. Your gift becomes like salt that has lost its flavor, present, but powerless. People will take from you as long as you make yourself available. They will drain your energy, occupy your time, and leave you empty, all while never truly recognizing your value. But when you learn to protect your gift, when you learn to invest your time wisely, when you understand that your presence must be purposeful, you begin to rise in value. Let me remind you, people respect what they cannot easily access. When you are always available, you become familiar, and familiarity breeds contempt. But when you guard your gift, when you show up with purpose, when your presence is intentional, people listen differently. They lean in, they pay attention, they recognize that what you carry is rare. Don't confuse popularity with purpose. Just because everyone knows your name doesn't mean you're fulfilling your calling. Sometimes the most impactful people are not the ones seen everywhere. They are the ones who know when to show up, how to show up, and why they're showing up. Their value increases because they move with wisdom, not with desperation. Your assignment in life is too great to be wasted on constant availability. Your energy, your time, your presence, these are currencies. You must spend them wisely. Every yes costs you something. Every commitment requires a withdrawal from your life account. That's why you must learn to say no, not because you are selfish, but because you are valuable. Hear me today, value attracts. When people recognize your value, they will seek you, honor you, and even make room for you. But that recognition only comes when you stop trying to be everywhere and start being effective where it matters. Availability does not equal value. Your worth is defined by your impact, not your presence. Many people today have fallen into the trap of believing that the more present they are, the more valuable they become. They run from place to place, event to event, conversation to conversation, thinking that being seen everywhere is the key to significance. But the truth is, being available to everyone at all times often cheapens who you are. It gives people the impression that your time, your energy, and your presence carry no weight. Something that can always be reached is something that will eventually be taken for granted. This is why people do not treasure air, even though it is essential to life. It is everywhere and always available. But if for one moment it were to be restricted, people would suddenly realize how valuable it is. The same principle applies to your presence. Your value does not come from how many times people can call on you. Your value is revealed by the quality and impact of what you bring when you do show up. If a person is constantly available, but carries nothing of significance, they may be noticed, but they will never be respected. On the other hand, when someone carries wisdom, solutions, and creativity, people will honor their presence, even if they are only seen occasionally. This is why the rare is always treasured more than the common. A jewel hidden deep within the earth commands far more respect than a pebble on the roadside. Being valuable means protecting what you carry and only releasing it in moments that matter. It means you understand that your time is a resource, your voice is an instrument, and your presence is an atmosphere. To waste these gifts on things that do not align with your purpose is to diminish their strength. Availability is often a trap for approval seekers, those who think that if they are always present, they will be loved or accepted. But approval does not equal purpose. You are not created to be stretched thin and exhausted, constantly trying to meet everyone's expectations. You were created to solve a specific problem, to fulfill a specific assignment, and to bring a unique value to the world that only you can bring. There is also a danger in measuring your worth by availability. If you constantly say yes to everyone, eventually your effectiveness decreases. You cannot give your best when you are divided in too many directions. The most powerful people in history were not the ones who were everywhere, they were the ones who were focused. They chose carefully where to invest themselves because they understood that value is not in spreading thin, but in concentrating deeply. A laser is powerful not because it shines everywhere, but because it focuses on one point with intensity. Likewise, your value increases when you focus your presence and energy where it matters most. When you begin to see your value in terms of impact, not presence, you will shift the way you use your time. Instead of chasing every opportunity, you will start discerning the right opportunities. Instead of being drained by constant availability, you will be refreshed by purposeful engagement. People will no longer just see you, they will experience you. They will not simply know that you were present, they will remember what changed when you arrived. That is the essence of true value. Availability without value leaves you empty, but value without constant availability leaves you respected. This does not mean you become unreachable or arrogant. It means you operate with intentionality. It means your presence is measured, your yes is meaningful, and your contribution carries weight. People will always demand more of you than you can give, but wisdom is knowing that your worth is not in how many people you can please, but in how effectively you can fulfill your purpose. When you are always accessible, you risk becoming common and overlooked. The more available something is, the less people tend to value it. This is a truth deeply woven into human behavior. When something can be reached at any time without effort, it begins to lose its uniqueness and its weight. Think about water in a tap. As long as it flows freely, most people never give it a second thought. But the moment it stops, panic sets in, and its true worth is realized. The same dynamic plays out in human relationships and in the way others perceive your presence. If you are constantly saying yes, constantly showing up, constantly answering every call and every request, people start to see you as ordinary, even though you may carry extraordinary value within. The danger is not in being willing to help or to serve, but in being so available that people start to assume that your presence has no cost. The more predictable and accessible you are, the more familiar you become, and familiarity often blinds people to significance. It is not that you are less valuable, but that people begin to perceive you as less valuable. And perception, in the eyes of others, often dictates how they treat you. If they can reach you without effort, they will not honor the weight of your time. If they know you will always say yes, they will never consider the price of your sacrifice. Over time, what is precious about you is hidden beneath the label of ordinary. Being always accessible also robs you of the opportunity to elevate your presence. When people do not have to wait for you, they do not prepare for you. When they do not prepare for you, they cannot receive you at the level they should. Think about a rare speaker, a rare leader, a rare expert. Their time is not easy to access, and because of that, when they do appear, people listen with intention. They value every word, every idea, every moment. The scarcity of access creates a deeper hunger and respect. But when you make yourself available at every moment, without boundaries, without discernment, you lose the chance to command that same level of respect. You must realize that your availability can either magnify or diminish your value. It is not just about what you have to offer, it is about how you steward it. If you pour yourself out without measure, people begin to assume that what you give is easily replaced. But if you choose moments carefully, if you guard your time and energy with wisdom, then when you do give of yourself, it carries a weight that cannot be ignored. This is why boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary. Boundaries protect your value from being diluted by overexposure. There is also an internal consequence to constant accessibility. When you are available to everyone all the time, you spread yourself so thin that you begin to feel ordinary yourself. You start to believe that your only worth is in how much you can give at every request. This leads to exhaustion, resentment, and eventually burnout. You begin to lose touch with the core of your value because you have allowed yourself to be pulled in too many directions. Protecting your accessibility is not just about how others see you, it is also about how you see yourself. If you do not set the standard for your worth, people will set it for you, and they will always undervalue what costs them nothing. When you make yourself less accessible, you allow space for anticipation. Anticipation creates value. When people have to wait to hear from you, they value your words more. When people have to plan to be in your presence, they value your time more. When people cannot predict your every move, they pay more attention when you finally show up. This does not mean playing games or withholding yourself out of pride. It means being intentional about how and when you engage. It means understanding that your presence carries power, and power must be used strategically. The world does not reward those who are merely available, it rewards those who are impactful. To be impactful, you must protect yourself from being overexposed. A masterpiece hung on every wall would not be a masterpiece. It would be wallpaper. It is the rarity of its appearance that gives it worth. In the same way, your influence grows when your accessibility is measured, not when it is limitless. Value increases when you guard your time, energy, and presence with wisdom. Time is the most precious resource you will ever have, because once it is spent, it can never be regained. Energy is the fuel that powers your assignments, and presence is the atmosphere you carry when you show up in a room. When you do not guard these with intentionality, they are easily wasted on things and people that do not contribute to your growth or purpose. Many people are drained not because they lack potential, but because they have failed to place boundaries around their most valuable resources. They say yes to everything, they give time to everyone, they spread themselves too thin, and in the process, their true value diminishes. Wisdom is knowing that not every request deserves your time, not every demand deserves your energy, and not every invitation deserves your presence. Guarding these things does not mean you become isolated or detached. It means you live with discernment. You recognize that your assignment requires focus, and that focus cannot exist if you are pulled in every direction. Guarding your time is understanding that hours wasted on things that do not matter are hours stolen from the things that do. Guarding your energy is knowing that not everyone deserves access to your strength, because some people only take without ever depositing anything back. Guarding your presence is knowing that when you step into a space, you bring influence, and influence must be placed where it can produce fruit. When you live without guarding yourself, people will use you without hesitation. They will treat you as a resource that is always available to serve their needs, and once they have gotten what they want, they will move on to the next. But when you guard your time, energy, and presence, you send a clear message that you recognize your own worth. People begin to see you differently because you see yourself differently. They understand that being in your presence, hearing your voice, or receiving your input is not something to be taken lightly. Respect is cultivated when you first respect yourself enough to set boundaries. Wisdom teaches that value is not in being everywhere, but in being effective where you are needed most. When you guard your time, you begin to invest it in things that yield results. You stop pouring hours into meaningless distractions and start sowing them into your vision. When you guard your energy, you protect your mental, emotional, and physical strength so that you have the capacity to carry out the things that truly matter. When you guard your presence, you stop scattering yourself across environments that do not align with your purpose and start showing up where your impact will be multiplied. This is how value increases, not by constant availability, but by intentional contribution. The world understands the principle of scarcity. The rarer something is, the higher its value becomes. If you are always present, always accessible, always pouring out without discretion, you become common in the eyes of others. But if you guard yourself wisely, your presence becomes rare, your words become weighty, and your time becomes treasured. People will prepare differently when they know access to you is not automatic. They will listen more carefully, they will value your input more deeply, and they will approach you with greater honor. Guarding yourself also protects you from depletion. Many gifted individuals burn out because they give to everyone without boundaries. They spread themselves so thin that when the moment of true purpose arrives, they have nothing left to give. Guarding your time and energy ensures that when destiny calls, you have the strength to answer. It ensures that your best is reserved for the assignments that matter most. Without this discipline, you may spend your life busy but never impactful, present everywhere but effective nowhere. Living with wisdom means recognizing that your presence is a seed. Where you plant it determines the harvest. If you scatter it carelessly, it produces little. If you sow it strategically, it produces abundance. The same hour of your time can either be wasted on trivial pursuits or invested into something that shifts lives. The same energy can either be drained by negativity or directed into creating solutions. The same presence can either be overlooked in meaningless spaces or honored in environments that demand your gift. The choice is always yours, but the outcome is determined by how wisely you guard what you carry. Every yes costs something. Choose commitments that align with your purpose. Many people underestimate the weight of their agreements. They say yes casually, unaware that each yes is not just an answer but an investment. Every time you say yes to something, you are simultaneously saying no to something else. If you say yes to endless distractions, you are saying no to your goals. If you say yes to every demand, you are saying no to your peace of mind. If you say yes to people who do not value your time, you are saying no to opportunities that could advance your purpose. Life is a series of exchanges, and wisdom is recognizing that every commitment you make withdraws something from your limited resources of time, energy, and focus. When you understand the cost of a yes, you begin to treat it as currency. You stop spending it recklessly and start investing it intentionally. Too many people are broke not in money but in time because they have given too many yeses to the wrong things. Their calendars are full but their lives are empty. Their days are busy but their progress is shallow. Saying yes without discernment leads to depletion, and depletion leads to regret. The truth is, not every opportunity is an assignment, not every request is your responsibility, and not every door that opens is meant for you to walk through. The power of your yes is determined by the wisdom of your no. Purpose is the measuring stick for every commitment. Before giving your agreement, you must ask yourself, does this align with my vision, my calling, my values? Does this commitment move me closer to who I am supposed to become, or does it pull me further away? Every yes should be weighed against your purpose. If it distracts you, drains you, or detours you, then it is too expensive, no matter how appealing it may seem. Opportunities are not always blessings. Sometimes they are tests of your ability to discern. The wrong yes at the wrong time can delay your progress more than a clear no ever could. There is also a danger in saying yes out of guilt or fear of rejection. Many people overcommit because they want to be liked, accepted, or approved. They think that by pleasing everyone, they are building relationships, when in reality they are eroding their own foundation. Approval is temporary, but purpose is eternal. If your yes is motivated by fear, it will always cost more than you are willing to pay. People will keep taking as long as you keep giving, and once you are empty, they will move on to the next person who says yes. Protecting your yes is not selfish, it is stewardship of your destiny. Every yes should carry weight. When you say yes to something, it should be because you have counted the cost and recognized the value of what it will produce. A meaningful yes adds to your life, multiplies your growth, and positions you to walk in alignment with your purpose. An unwise yes drains you, diminishes your influence, and scatters your focus. This is why some of the most successful and impactful individuals are not the ones who say yes often, but the ones who say yes selectively. Their agreements are rare because they know that their yes is powerful. There is freedom in learning to say no without guilt. A no to what does not align with you is actually a yes to what matters most. A no to distractions is a yes to focus. A no to toxic relationships is a yes to peace. A no to meaningless business is a yes to intentional progress. Every no creates space for the right yes. The more selective you become, the higher your value rises, because people understand that your commitments are not casual. They are purposeful. Your yes is a seed that will always produce a harvest. If you plant it in soil that is barren, you waste it. If you plant it in the wrong season, it cannot grow. But if you plant it with wisdom, in the right soil, and at the right time, it will multiply beyond what you imagined. Your future is hidden inside the yeses you choose today, and the clarity of your purpose determines whether those yeses will elevate you or enslave you. True influence comes not from being everywhere, but from showing up with intentionality. Influence is not measured by how many circles you move in or how many people know your name, but by the depth of impact you leave when you step into a room. Being seen in every place does not guarantee transformation, but being purposeful in the right place at the right time can shift lives, shape destinies, and alter environments. Intentionality is the key that turns presence into power. Without it, you may be visible, but invisible in effect. Many people chase influence by chasing visibility. They believe the more people that see them, the more significant they will become. They attend every event, join every conversation, and seek every platform, hoping that their presence alone will translate into power. But true influence is not about quantity, it is about quality. 1,000 shallow interactions will never equal the weight of one intentional moment that carries wisdom, clarity, and purpose. The person who knows why they are present and what they carry will always accomplish more than the person who simply shows up to be noticed. Intentionality begins with understanding purpose. When you know what you were designed to do, you no longer feel pressure to be everywhere. You stop wasting time in spaces that do not align with your assignment. You stop scattering your energy across activities that look good but produce nothing lasting. You begin to focus your presence on the environments where your gift is needed, your voice is relevant, and your contribution has the power to make a difference. Purpose creates clarity, and clarity sharpens influence. Showing up with intentionality also requires preparation. Influence is not automatic, it is cultivated. When you step into a moment with no preparation, you may occupy space, but you will not create impact. But when you prepare, when you carry insight, when you arrive with solutions, people cannot ignore you. They listen, they respond, they remember. Intentional preparation turns ordinary presence into extraordinary influence. That is why some people can speak few words yet change the atmosphere, while others speak endlessly and leave no trace. Influence is not in the noise you make, but in the weight you carry. There is also a principle of timing and influence. Intentionality means knowing not just where to show up, but when. Being early in the wrong season is as ineffective as being late when the moment has passed. Timing determines receptivity, and receptivity determines impact. A word spoken at the right moment can save a life, shift a decision, or open a door that was once shut. Intentional influence requires patience, discernment, and the wisdom to wait for the right moment. It is not about rushing to be seen, but about arriving when your presence will matter most. True influence also carries consistency. One intentional act may inspire, but a pattern of intentional acts builds trust. People follow those who are reliable, those whose presence is not random, but purposeful. Consistency magnifies influence because it communicates stability. It tells others that when you show up, you can be counted on to deliver value. Random presence makes you noticeable for a moment. Consistent intentionality makes you memorable for a lifetime. When you begin to show up with intentionality, you stop competing for attention. You understand that you do not need to be everywhere to be impactful. Because influence is not about being popular, it is about being purposeful. The person who is everywhere may be recognized, but the person who is intentional will be respected. Recognition fades quickly, but respect endures because it is built on substance, not visibility. Influence is not in your ability to occupy space, but in your ability to transform it. When you enter a room, does the atmosphere shift? Do people listen differently? Do conversations change? That is the mark of intentional presence. It is not about how long you are there, but about what happens because you are there. Influence leaves evidence. It leaves people thinking differently, feeling differently, and moving differently than before you arrived. That level of impact does not come from being everywhere. It comes from being intentional wherever you are.